Hello, hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you to another session of Heart Talk, our weekly empowerment session where men and women from all over the world come together so that we can do heart work and grow heart equity, which we define as personal, relational, and financial wealth that we develop and curate through authentic living. Heart Talk has been around since September 11th of 2014. Excuse me, September 1st of 2014. And it's just a testament to the powerful work that we've been doing. We have a serious focus on developing spiritual, mental, emotional intelligence and being able to live authentically vulnerable lives where we can embrace who we are authentically while also addressing some of the issues and challenges that we've had that are holding us back from living the best life ever. I truly believe that when we heal our hearts, we transform our lives and in turn transform the world around us. So it's really important for us to have these conversations. This is an atmosphere of safety and support and encouragement. So I just welcome you and I thank you for being here. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about trust. And the title is Who Do You Trust? Because the truth is, many of us have trust issues. And when you have trust issues, it's really hard to grow and thrive as an individual because you're constantly being challenged with who are who can I trust, who can I not trust, who can I go to, who can I not, go through. And I think for me, one of the most important things about trust, even in my book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to um Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. Chapter 5 is entitled Trust Issues. Because what I found is many of us do not trust people. We love them, we care for them, many times we will go and give them our lives. We will sacrifice our lives for these individuals, but we don't trust them. Many of us don't trust our parents. We trust them like we know if we're in a bind, we know that they'll be there for them. They'll be there for us. But many people don't have people that they can really trust with themselves, like somebody that you can trust with your deepest, darkest feelings and emotions, and somebody that can hold space for you when you're not living life, when you're living life out of the margins, when life is lived outside of the lines, right? When you're in a situation that's tough and rough and challenging, who can you go to anchor you, to keep you in place? Many of us say our faith, and I don't disagree with that. I know that Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I will be gentle. For I am gentle and lowly at heart." Right? So I get that, especially those of us who have a background in faith, and we love the Lord and all the things. But I'm talking about people. And I believe that sometimes we get so heavenly bound that we are no earthly good. And I think that we get so caught up in the jargon and the conversations and the communications that people are having when we're talking about trust. It's like, I don't have to trust in no man because I can trust God. I hear that. I get that. I get the concept. But the truth of the matter is, God is doing a work on you. I've always heard it like this: you have this vertical relationship with God, with Christ in our faith. You have this vertical relationship. The Holy Spirit is always with us. It's the consciousness of Christ that is with us, but it's like a vertical connection. And then when you work out your faith, it's a horizontal connection. How do you know that you're walking in your faith? How do you know that you're living your life the way God wants you to live your life? It's how you show up with other people. And that's why some of us are so heavenly bound. We know earthly good, right? We have all these fancy words and terms that we're using now. I got to protect my peace and I can't let nobody come and disturb my peace. Let me tell you something. Peace is a powerful thing. Peace can encompass an atomic bomb. So nobody can really disturb your peace unless you want your peace to be disturbed. The Bible says that the Lord will give us a peace that surpasses all understanding. And being someone who has experienced that peace, I can tell you, it is powerful. Peace does not need everything to calm down before it can come in and set the atmosphere and set the tone. Peace consumes chaos. Okay? So when I'm asking you who do you trust, I really want you to think about this outside of your faith. So you have a faith, many of us have a faith. I hear a lot of people say I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, however you want to word this. But as a result of that faith, who do you trust? And do you really trust them? Or do you have them at bay? Do you keep them at bay? Right? I realized that there were a lot of people in my life that loved me and I loved them, but I was not giving them access to me the way that I needed it because I did not trust them not to drop me. I have been dropped before by people that I trusted. I have loved people, confided in them, leaned into them, and I've been abused. I've been bullied. I've been neglected, right? And this is my experience. When you talk to some of these individuals, they may have a different perspective of what our interactions look like. But what I know is, and I just had an extensive conversation about this today, I know that our childhoods really impact the way we live our lives every day. Who we could and could not trust, how we were protected or the lack of protection. If anybody ever experienced any type of physical, emotional, spiritual, financial violation as a child, like I just had a situation that I had to navigate and I was just thinking like how many people don't trust their family because when they were young, family members stole from them, took from them, did things to them and never explained it, never apologized, never let that child know that they didn't do anything wrong. And you know what happens? We grow up and think it's our fault and think it's our problem. And it's a part of why we don't trust people. It's a part of why we're afraid to let go. We're afraid to open up. It's a part of why we're afraid to try something new because we're so afraid to make a mistake because we don't want to be scrutinized and talked about and abandoned like how we've been before. So, who do you trust? And help save me from my broken heart in chapter 5 when I talk about trust issues. It's funny, I didn't set up chapter 5 as trust issues. It just ended up being like that. And I think it's very interesting that 5 is the number that represents grace, right? There are different numbers that represent different things in our faith, but 5 just happens to be the number that represents grace. And I believe that God allowed that to happen like that because He has given us a grace to navigate the lack of trust that we have for Him, God as our creator, right? And then the lack of trust that we have for people around us who were supposed to support us or be there for us or connect with us. And I want to address this because I believe that you are living in a season in your life right now where God is calling you to do something new. God is calling you to do something different. He's calling you to get out of your comfort zone and walk into this promised land. But we got to understand when Joshua and Caleb went in the promised land, it was 12 spies that went with them. 10 of the 12 said it's giants there. All they focused on was what was wrong with the promised land. But Joshua and Caleb were able to see the promise in the land. They were able to see the wealth and the richness. They didn't just see the challenges. And I think some of us think that we're being safe and we're being responsible because you're so focused on the challenge that you're missing out on the promise. And it's time for you to open your heart, open your mind, open your spirit up to the promise. It's time for you to open up and be able to say, okay, I have this calling and I need to answer the call. And I think a lot of times we reason ourselves out of making these decisions, making these transitions because we try to be logical. right? We make these responsible, and I use air quotes, right? We make these responsible decisions. But we say, well, I'm not going to do this because I don't know enough about it, or I don't have the money for it, or I don't have whatever it is. Whatever the discrepancy, whatever the area of lack is, it's like we always zero in on that. It's almost like you hear people say you can have out of 100 comments of feedback, somebody can have 99 praises of how well they did, but most people zero in on the one comment of somebody critiquing them or saying something negative about the situation. It's almost like we are prone to lean into what's wrong. We are so prone to focus on what's not working and what's not right. Okay. And what I'm saying is, I get that from somebody who I feel like is recovering from that and overcoming that way of being and that lifestyle and that mindset. I understand that, but I feel like if we would be honest, a lot of us are like that because it's such a area, a level of distrust that we just have in life, that we have with people, and many of us have developed defense mechanisms that where we think we're protecting ourselves, but in a lot of cases, these ways of being, your attitude, some of your habits, um, just your daily interactions, a lot of these things can fall into keeping you safe and like keeping you comforted or protected. But is it ushering you into your next? Is it really doing the best it can do for you to walk into what this season of your life looks like? And I wanted to talk to you about that because in my own personal life right now, like right now, I'm doing Heart Talk from Atlanta. And some of you know, some of you do not know, but I'm really working on business growth and expansion. And the Lord, I feel like the Lord told me to start in Atlanta. I've been doing business for over 10 years now. I've been to Atlanta multiple times doing business, speaking engagements, coaching events, all of the things. But in this season, I feel like the Lord is saying, go to Atlanta. Even more specifically, when my mom passed away last year, there was a passage that I read, Genesis chapter 12, and it's talking about when Abram, who who's the father of the nation of Israel, we know him as Abraham, but before his name was changed from Abram to Abraham, he was living in Terah, which is his Tehran, which was his father's house, his father's land. And when his they were supposed to go to the promised land, and then his brother died. And when his brother died, they got distracted and they stayed where they were. But when him and his dad were still supposed to go to the promised land, they didn't do it. His dad died, and after his dad died, the Lord told him, "It's time for you to go, right? Go into a land that I will show you." And that's why I wanted to talk about trust, because a lot of times when God is calling us to do something in our lives, it does not always make sense. And we don't always have all of the answers and the explanations to why we should do what we do. And I'm gonna even take should away the word should, because that's a whole nother thing. I'll get into that. But we don't know why we're being called to do what we're being called to do. But what I have learned in my short time on this earth is that many times you don't know, because if you did know, you would never do it. And I'm going to loosely quote, but kind of paraphrase Miss Connie. A couple weeks back, she talked about how she was reminded that, when things feel uncomfortable, a lot of times they're uncomfortable because of something new. And the Lord told me to come this way to expand. I was already working on expanding to Atlanta before my mother died. But when my mom died, I was in such a tailspin. I didn't really know what I was doing and where I was going. Everything was just about, I just need to live and I just need to make it, because that's just how heavy the grief was in that season. But now I'm in a space where I I don't know. Of course, I don't know where I'm going, but I can feel the goodness in the journey. I can feel the goodness in taking the steps toward this new thing. This, I just call it expansion. I feel like I realize now that, I mean, we know it is very cliche, but it's like hindsight is always 2020. So I really have accepted that it's foggy now. There's going to be a season where I'm going to look back and be very thankful that I moved forward. And I can't, and I wanted to talk about trust because I think that a lot of times we put more trust in ourselves and our feelings and what we think than the God of the universe that is calling us higher to something greater. It's like we are so focused on being in what we know that we miss out on what we don't know. And we miss out on the beauty of what we could experience. So, and I'm going to give you an example. So, I came up here today, and typically me being in my own head and being an overthinker, a lot of people will say this is being responsible, and I get that. But for me, it's not. It's me being controlling and trying to get ahead and try to protect myself. So, me coming up here, yes, I said I'm coming to Atlanta August the 4th. I'm just coming. I'm start coming, making connections, doing the networking, and I'm trusting the Lord. Right? I don't have like a specific build business meeting. I don't have some specific thing that I'm doing, but I really feel like this is the direction I need to be heading in, and this is the space I need to be in right now. So I set the date, I think like 2.5 weeks ago, because I was supposed to come 2 weeks ago, and I did come, but it was for something different. Um, so I set the date, and when yesterday came, the weather was awful. It was just all these other things going on. I wouldn't say it was awful. It was raining a lot. I like the rain. I'm even changing how I look at the rain. There's nothing wrong with rain. It's just not sunshine. Um, and I remember telling myself, we're going regardless. We're going whether the weather's good. We're going whether you feel like it or not. I have never been that tired driving to Atlanta. I know I have driven this ride probably literally 100 times, but I was so tired in the first hour, and I'm a driver. So I was like, why am I so tired? This don't even make sense. And I had coffee and everything, and it just was not working. I had water. And for whatever reason, I wanted Wendy's. I know it's not the best, but I just wanted some Wendy's. And I promise you, when I got that Wendy's, it was like I guess it was a sugar spike. I probably was hungry, but I got something to eat. And it was like I perked up for the rest of the trip. It was like the trip just went by. And I just felt really good that I made a promise to myself and I kept it. But I also realized that I don't have to have all the answers. I can trust the process. I feel like the input that I'm putting in is the proper input to get the output I want. Now, when will that output come out? I don't know. And I don't really know what it looks like, right? So I get it last night. I reached out to my cousin and said, "Hey, I'm coming in. I'll be in for a couple of days." And I'd already talked to her about coming. She's a business owner, she's a business consultant. She does amazing work all over the world, but she just happened to be home this week. And it's funny because she's leaving tomorrow because I know she's always traveling and stuff. So I reached out and she was like, "Perfect. I'm leaving Wednesday morning. And I'll be back Friday morning, which I'm supposed to be leaving Friday afternoon." So I was like, okay, I'm reaching out to her. So I reached out this morning and was like, "I'm available between these times. Let me know if you have some time. I would love to meet up with you. Just let me know either way." And I got up this morning and I said, "Lord, I don't have an agenda but your agenda." I said, "Holy Spirit, I give you my agenda." I had my office meeting. We have an office meeting once a week. Me and my team, we meet, we talk about what we're doing, we plan, we strategize, all the things. While I'm in the meeting, my cousin responds and is like, "Well, you could come, I would love to meet up with you. These are the hours I'm available." Y'all, first of all, I get there and I'm blown away because it's like I could not have figured this location up and any type of plans that I was about to make if I had made these plans myself. First of all, I didn't even have access to this location if I had made these plans myself. And all I'm gonna say is, and if you follow me, you will eventually see this information. You will see these reels online, but you will remember me talking about this. Let's just say I was able to see the entire Atlanta metro area from my lunch table today. I don't think I ever been that high in the sky in a building. Okay. And I had a really nice miso salmon for lunch. Okay. Okay. So all I'm saying is a lot of times because of past pain and hurt and let down, we have trust issues. And we have to deal with those trust issues because those trust issues can limit us from walking into our promised land. Now, it wasn't even so much about it was about the location because all I was thinking walking in and just following the directions that were given to me, I was just sitting here like, is this really happening? I cannot believe this is happening. Like, it was so nice. It was so laid back. It was nothing pretentious or uptight or anything, but it was very classy. It was very elegant. And it just reminded me of this is who I am. Like, I got access to me. I got access to things that remind me of me. But if I don't see myself like that, if I don't trust myself, I'm not going to trust the opportunities that are given to me. I'm going to self-sabotage. Something would have came up that prevented me from getting to her today. I knew it would have. And so this is why we have to deal with our trust issues. And this is why we have to confront who or what do we trust or distrust, right? Because we have to trust what God is telling us. Like I had a very personal situation happen to me today before this like earlier in the morning, and I had to navigate something with my family that was very intense, very personal. And I've seen families fall apart for I'm serious, I've seen families fall apart for things like this. And the whole time I just was like, Lord, I trust that you're going to give me the right words. I know what my intentions are. I know what I want to get out of this, but I am not willing to sweep the stuff under the rug. We can't do it. We have to confront this thing head on. And honestly, in my meditation this morning, that thing rolls up so heavy. God says, time to deal with it. Back to trust. I had to trust that the timing was right. I had to trust that I could move forward and have this conversation. And I just had to trust that the outcome would be what I needed it to be. And it really, I wasn't responsible for the outcome. I was responsible for the input. But when you have trust issues and you cannot trust, and you're not trusting God, you're not trusting that spirit that's leading you on the inside, trying to get you to go where you need to go and do what you need to do. If you're living a life in anger and frustration and regret, then you don't trust. Trust requires forward movement. Trust requires a level of vulnerability. You will be exposed when you trust people. That's a part of it. It's like that game people play, those team building games, when you got to fall back and you got to trust that this person is going to catch you. And I'm going to read you the definition of trust really quick because I just think that if we can really sit down and look at how much we live our lives. We go out, we're afraid of people, we're afraid of, the news is telling us all these bad things that are going on. And what's happening is there's like this pile of distrust just just mounting, and you have to deal with that. On top of any experiences that you've had. And I will even say, because I've made decisions in the past that didn't work out, I had to trust myself again. I had to trust that I can make good decisions. I had to trust that these risks are worth the rewards, right? But all of that goes back to my faith. All of it goes back to my faith. So let me read this definition of trust. Do you have any comments or questions? Anything you want to share? Please feel free to share. All right. Trust is defined as a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. A believe, it says allow credit to. That's one form of the verb trust as a verb. Trust as a noun is also an arrangement whereby a person, a trustee, holds property as its nominal owner for the good of one or more beneficiaries. And I personally think that's a good one because being in real estate, you got to trust the person that's over the trust. Lord knows you better trust that person, or it won't be a trust to trust in, right? So, what am I saying? I'm saying that I believe that we are walking in a season, we're constantly in a space that God is calling us higher to shine our light. It's like when we walk in the room, the darkness has to hide. But if I don't trust in the light that's in me, I won't believe I can walk in this dark. I won't believe I can walk forward in this darkness and the darkness will hide. That's what happened this morning when I had to confront this situation. It was a darkness looming in my family. And I empathize with generations before me because I think, my generation is this generation that's going to therapy and doing all these things and it's like, what like how did y'all let us get here? But I get it. I get it. This my grandma couldn't have these conversations, life and death. You think somebody got time to be worried about your feelings, girl? You better get in that field and pick this cotton, or one of them children might be hungry tonight. I don't care about how you feel about it. I don't care about if your great grandmama was picking cotton for free like this. I don't care about that. So I understand that they went through the things that they went through to give us the luxury to even have these conversations. Because if somebody didn't go before me and cry out to God and do whatever they did, I wouldn't have this awareness. I'm clear on that. So I want us to really look at who and what do we trust? What do we rely on? Who and what do we um, believe is true? We believe in the abilities and the strength. And I think sometimes when we trust people in the earth, we put unfair expectations on them and they're always going to disappoint us because they can never show up and be what we need because many of us are looking for people to be our God, and that's just not going to happen. Right? So I got trust issues because a human being let you down and human beings are going to let you down. So you got to learn how to, because what happens is, and what I found in a lot of cases is when you say you don't trust people, you really not trusting yourself. And you project it onto other people. I have a cousin that one time we went to he's a contractor and he rides around with his tools and he had a car, he had all his tools in and you could see him, no tint on the windows or nothing. And we went to the store, or it was his truck. We went to the store, and when we got out, I just instinctively locked the door, right? Because he got all these tools, and that's what I do when I get out my car because I don't trust people, right? I've had things stolen out my car. I locked the door. We came back and we was locked out the car because he never takes his keys out the car because he never locks his door. I said, you sleep at night in an apartment complex full of high performing tools and you never lock the door. He said, no. I said, Lord, we grew up different. I said, boy, you trust people way more than I do. He said, well, I don't expect nobody to take nothing and nobody has taken anything. And that thing shifted me to start thinking about, well, what are my core expectations are for people to do me wrong. So I put trust in what I don't want. I put trust in the reliability of being disappointed versus shifting that trust to things working out. But that makes us more vulnerable. I think sometimes we think by being pessimistic, realistic, no, you cutting yourself out from miraculous things happening for you. Like me being on the 49th floor today. If I had leaned on my understanding, trust me, I'd have been looking at the same scenery I'm always looking at. And ain't that wrong with it, but I sure appreciated what I saw today. It expanded me to the possibilities of what happens when I trust God. Even yesterday, Miss Connie, you don't even understand. When I saw your email yesterday morning, I was like, you don't even understand what that, and then your message. I cried. I did. Because it did my heart so good. But even that, I honestly felt like that was God's way of saying, I want you to go. I have given you a parting gift. Go. And all I was mad at is, oh, I wish I had that on this trip. But don't worry, I'll have it on the next one. Because that would be perfect for me on the 49th floor today. You feel me? Like, but I wouldn't have even had any of this going on if I didn't trust that God still got me even when my mama left and I didn't know. And I wasn't, because if I still had the mindset I used to have, there would be no trust in anybody or anything because I would still be angry that Susan isn't here. I know, like I had so much happen today where I was stuck, like I'm shocked with myself. I'm proud of myself that I didn't have a meltdown. My emotional intelligence is increasing. So like I get on here, y'all. I am a student as well. I'm gonna be a student of this until I die. I can be an expert to somebody that never did it. But I'm telling you, I'm always learning. And I just want to tell you your distrust, your mistrust, your lack of trust, the pessimism, the closed mindedness is hindering you from getting to experience the fullness of all God wants to do in your life. Because I believe if we're still here, there are still some great things in store for you. And as I was saying that just now, I want to say this to you, Miss Connie. I feel like I'm supposed to be helping you write a book. I feel like you have multiple books. But I feel like there is a certain something. If it hasn't, I just feel like there's a certain something that keeps kind of running through your mind to do, but it's small. So you almost kind of like, oh, I'm creative. So whatever. I'm getting old. You're not. But sometimes that those thoughts can come through, but you're not. That just hit me just now. I feel like, so you just let me know. But I feel like that's all a part of the trusting part, right? Like, I think you have some things to impart to us that are in you that we just need drawn out. Something we can always go back and reflect on, right? So just remember that you can use your notes in your phone and you can talk into them as well as record audio in your voice recorder. So don't ever worry about typing a book. If you just start talking into your phone, I promise you, we can type the book from there. But, and this is what I mean about the trust aspect. I feel like there's a level of creativity that is in us that wants to come out. And I believe that there are things that we've been wired. I feel like everybody is wired differently to have different um, things they focus on, areas and zones of genius, because it's all a little part of how great God is, right? None of us could house all of that. So we all have something that we can share. But in my experience, I didn't trust God because I had thoughts of, I had I had figured out what my past meant. And it meant that I couldn't trust God, my mom and them. I couldn't trust a lot of people. And the work that I've done over the years had just showed me that that was just hurt and pain. And I just think about all that I would have missed out. Even just think about me and my mama if I didn't lean back into trusting what I didn't previously trust. So I'm just encouraging that person that's listening is just like, well, you don't know what I've been through, and you don't know how they hurt me, and you don't know how they stabbed me in the back. And I'm gonna say, maybe I don't, but I promise you, you don't have enough time in 2 or 3 days for me to tell you the things that I went through like that. And I'm still trying again because the quality of life that you get when you choose to live trusting, when you choose to see the brighter side of things, when you choose to see the possibilities versus the limitations, you can't even, you don't even know what's in store. Because I just got on that road. I was tired. It was raining. I don't have a pocket full of, like, nothing, like, I didn't have a pocket full of money where I'm just like, yeah, just hit the road, just start expansion. On paper, it probably didn't make sense. But my experience today having lunch with my cousin, it hit me just the potential of what can happen if I just trust even when I don't know. What I do know is something is calling me and I'm going to answer. What I do know is I was getting frustrated in the environment that I was in and then starting to get frustrated with the people that were in that environment with me. And I realized that that frustration really came to agitate me out of the environment. It wasn't to make me now start falling out with these individuals because we all on our own journey and I can't force nobody. We all on this road of life, and I talked about that months ago. We all in our own lane, running our own race at our own pace. We might all be on the same track, but we got different things going on. So I'm going to read this passage, and I'm finished for tonight. And if you have any comments or questions, please share. But I just really wanted to get on and just remind us to trust. Trust when it don't make sense. Trust when it's uncomfortable. Trust when you don't have the answers. It don't always have to be logical, but I just trust in the God, like my mom said, of my understanding. He leave me before, and he won't leave me. I remember when I found mommy dead in that room, and I was shocked at my reaction. I just went into worship. And in that moment, I laughed because I said, I really am serious about the Lord because my brain, I wanted to lose it. My spirit kept me anchored like, no, ma'am, we not doing that. We going to praise him until you can calm down. That, in that moment, this is why I can trust and it don't make sense. Because that did not make sense to me and I was doing it. But I could feel the wrestle, but giving up and holding on, right? And in this passage, I feel is how I would describe that. And any other challenge I've had in my life, there have been other near-death things, things that have died in my life. Nothing like losing my mama, but there have been some things that felt like death, that were death, right? But this is the passage that has anchored me. It anchored me when my grandmama died. It anchored me when I didn't like my mom and daddy. It anchored me when I didn't like my husband or my kids. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. That's Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. But I'm going to read another translation of that because I love them all. I read multiple translations. The other one says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. I'm going to read one more translation. This is the Message translation. And it says, trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure out everything on your own. Listen for God's voice in everything you do, everywhere you go. He's the one who will keep you on track. Don't assume that you know it all. Run to God. Run from evil. Your body will glow with health. Your very bones will vibrate with life. Honor God with everything you own. Give Him the first and the best. Your barns will burst. Your wine vats will brim over. But don't, dear friend, resent God's discipline. Don't suck under his loving correction. It's the child he loves that God corrects. A father's delight is behind all of this. So that was actually verses 5 through 12 in the Message Bible, but I just thought that that was so sweet. But that's my anchor for this conversation. Trusting the Lord does not always lean into our understanding. We don't always understand. I didn't understand why I had to go August the 4th, and it was my godfather's birthday yesterday, and just thinking about him and how God used him as like he held a space in my life for a while, like right after my granddaddy died. God brought him in. I didn't realize this until I started doing my work, but it goes back to trust, right? That was a trust, like something my mama prayed for, my grandma prayed for, and sometimes we miss it. Sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, and that's where trust. That's why I feel like we gotta trust, even when it doesn't make sense. So, trust God, seek His will, understand. Like Miss Connie reminded us that if it's uncomfortable, it's probably what you need because it's something different, it's something new, and it's probably what you need. Something to project you forward, to move you forward along this journey of life, get you from being stuck. And some of us are so stuck in the pain of the past that we can't enjoy the present. And so our future is just in a holding pattern. And I believe that when we lean into this trust that supersedes our understanding, that's when we can start to experience the life we were created to live, not the life that we were told we got to live. All right. Well, that's all I got for tonight. You have anything you want to share, Miss Connie?
Yeah, I do. I was just thinking when you were talking that first off, I think that first, I know our soul, and I've said this before, our souls are eternal. So our souls have existed since the beginning of time. And when I'm listening to you talk and see what I'm hearing is when you talk about God, what I'm hearing is getting quiet enough for that soul of mine to impart some knowledge to connect with me. The other day when I saw that purse, I shouldn't even been buying no purse. And I don't know why I thought that you should have this, but I did, and it's being in touch, being
Yeah.
in touch, because the reality is what I see with my eyes may not be what you see because eyes don't see. It isn't something that we see the same thing. Whatever I see is interpreted by my brain into what it is. So, whatever we see and whatever we do, whatever we think is there, is the interpretation of things that have come in to our awareness through our sight, through our nose, through our hearing. And the brain takes all that and tells us what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, as people, what I'm seeing with something and what you're seeing may be totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? When I'm quiet, the universe takes care of stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm in line to allow this to happen because it's more like an expanding outward as I become aware of different stuff. And I thought about what you said too in terms of just little things that I know. And I think what you said is something that I needed to hear because I think in fact that's what I need to do when I'm talking or thinking to somebody and something comes up for me, I need to jot it down. I need to say it, you know, and keep it because that's how it happens. It's something small will jog something, but that small piece is a piece of the universe and quite giving me a way of explaining something,
Yeah.
explaining what I see. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's what my mother always says that she was. She was a minister, but she said she was what she said, consider herself was a teacher. She was a
Mm.
teacher, and
Yes.
she would pick one thing to teach and teach that through whatever it was she was saying on that Sunday morning. She'd be teaching the same concept from different forms over and over again. And so these things that are happening in our life, if whatever has happened, our, our soul chose this journey
Mm-hmm.
because there was something that we were going to get from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that bad things don't happen, but a lot of the stuff that we deal with is more about us, like you're talking about being in situations and understanding your connection to them and
Yes.
being able to disengage and look at something that you don't have any control over and see your part. It's just it's just a learning thing. It's kind of like, we're
Yes.
here on this earth to experience and to see. And the more we open up, the more we see,
That's
you know,
it.
the more
That's
we
so
see.
true.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's how I felt on the 49th floor. I
Yeah.
opened up. Guess what?
Amen.
I opened up and you like literally I lived today what you just said. I opened up and it expanded what I could see. I could tell the earth was round. I was up so high. You could tell the earth is round and not square. You get like the horizon had a curve. See, people grew up in big cities and stuff, and it's nothing to them. I'm from the country. The Charleston, you can't even go. I think they just start letting them go, what, 10 stories? I don't know. But it's not that, okay? Because you'll be in the marsh. The building will be in the marsh. You know what I mean? So I literally lived that, and you're so right. Like I used to think things were bad or good. Now I really am transitioning to it is. And how back to your brain processing it. Your brain is trying to process this thing. Our brain is always trying to protect us and it lies to us sometimes. A lot of times. You know what I mean? So that's what we have to trust. My brain told me yesterday you are too tired. It is raining. It makes no sense to go. You don't have nothing to do. There's no business there waiting on you. You might as well just sit here in your normal. No, no. But it don't have to always make sense. And I do encourage you. That voice recorder on your phone, I'm encouraging you to put that sucker to work. And you're really tech savvy, so you can save it in your Google Drive so it won't even fill up your phone storage. If you need any help with that stuff, just let me know. I can walk you through it over the phone. I'm serious. Because I feel like the wisdom that you have, I want it. And you do willingly share it. But everybody can't pick up the phone and call you. I can. I can have these dialogues, but I feel like um that thing just dropped real heavy. Like, yeah, you have some knowledge, some teaching tips, some teaching nuggets that you can drop on us. Um, and we don't have to really worry about exactly how you're gonna do it. Just start, recording the notes when you get your divine downloads. And that's for everybody. Like, think more of what those seeds look like. Because remember, all we need is a mustard seed, the smallest seed, but that produces a mighty tree, right? Your thoughts, your affinities, your um just things that intrigue you. You'll be surprised how God can use that to expand your life and take you higher, which is what we all desire. So I'm thankful. Read Proverbs 3, 5 through 6. I try to read a proverb a day. They're so helpful. The one today was so good. It was so good. I texted to a couple people because I was like, this is so good. Um, and we'll be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Remember, share this information with anyone that you think can benefit from it. Um, I love y'all so much. I love you. Thank you for being here with me. And I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, signing out. We'll be back next week.